Hey guys, what are you doing? It is Saturday, 4th of July. You actually got both of us on here today. Appreciate you doing a lot of extra work lately as we've been a little bit busy. And let's talk this one over.
No problem. I'm not a huge fan of the solo vids, but they do go by quick. So there is that to be said.
That is for sure. No doubt about it, guys. So we got ourselves a pretty big Saturday night slate. Usually it's a little bit more split up than this, so it's a pretty decent size one. As far as pitching on this slate goes, there's some pretty good options. If you could only go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you finish.
I was just going to say, if you could only go Burns or Rodon, who would you pick?
It's a really good one.
It is a good question. And it seems like early day projections has them pretty similar on ownership.
Yeah. I think that both of them are really, really viable. So I struggle picking between the two. It's one of those I kind of like. If I like one, I like the other. And what I was going to say was this whole series is like the pitching matchups in this series is like amazing how it lined up. You had Peralta versus Giolito. I don't know if you know this. Tonight, Burns versus Rodon, and then tomorrow, Woodruff versus Lynn. Like, that is legit.
No, that's a really good start. I was not watching the game last night. I was busy. Any idea why Peralta left after so few pitches?
No, I was on Peralta too, and I don't know why he left. I think I didn't even read up on it today. A lot of pitching was awful last night, though.
Okay, I was looking into. I didn't see him. I have Peralta in some leagues, and I didn't look too long, but it didn't seem like an injury, so I was a little curious as to why that was. So interesting.
He hadn't thrown a ton of pitches. I thought it was for sure an injury.
That was what made the most sense to me. But again, I wasn't really watching the game, and I didn't see any updates on injuries, but I didn't look very deep into it, so it's possible it still could be. But as far as these two guys go, I mean, I'm with you. I think it's a really, really, really good question. I think Burns is a better real life pitcher than Rodon, but Rodon's been just as good, if not better, this year. I like the idea of still tossing out a lefty against Milwaukee, just simply for the fact that they've faced very few left-handed pitching this year. So it's still always like a newer look for them. It's been overwhelmingly right-handers. And then I think there's good options below them too. So I don't necessarily think either of them is a must.
No, I don't. I do think like for me, like these guys are so similar. Like their DK points are almost like I do think in real life, maybe Burns is a slight better pitcher, but it's close. I mean, Rodon is real good himself. I would rank.
We've just seen enough bad stuff from him that it's still harder to buy, right?
I would rank Burns higher still, but at their best, they're very similar. So yeah, I'm with you. It's almost like for me, if I like one, I like the other, but then I think Gausman's got to be my favorite pitcher on the slate.
I like Gausman a lot today too. He's had a couple of rougher outings lately, but there's never any shame to me when you have a rough outing against the Dodgers. We know how good they are. They're just a great baseball team. Gausman, with Pittsburgh on the docket today, they don't strike out a ton, but we also know they're just not very good.
I'll say this, like, the Dodgers are the Dodgers. I mean, they're going to Dodger. They're just going to do their thing. The Cardinals are actually crushing righties right now. The Nationals have been really good lately. The Angels have had good games, and he dominated all those teams. Pittsburgh's a tier below all those other offenses. I like him a lot here.
Pittsburgh's arguably the worst offense in baseball. I'm with you. I like Gausman a lot today. You know, I've been a big fan. He's been nothing short of sensational all season long. And with DeGrom, health issues on and off throughout the year, I still think he's still live to win the Cy Young.
Yeah, I agree.
So big fan here.
Like real live. His Dodgers starts haven't helped, but like that's the Dodgers. I actually think like, DeGrom, who knows? Gausman might be like the leader aside from DeGrom.
I would think so. So below him, anybody up here you're interested in? Valdez, Gilbert, anything?
No. Not
really? Okay. I guess if I'm going down to the mid tier, I would probably go with Castillo.
Yeah, I will. I feel similarly about Barrios and Castillo. Barrios obviously a little more expensive. He's like kind of in the middle of the expensive and mid-range. Castillo would be my guy too, although St. Louis has been better recently. They really made Tyler Mahle work last night. I'm much more of a Castillo fan than Mahle, so I like Castillo more than I did Mahle last night. But it's not like a perfect spot for me. And I also was looking at Logan Gilbert a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one right here, right? Because he's a young player. I know you were a big fan of what his potential was when he got up had a couple of rough starts, but he's been good since then. He's actually been great in his two most recent starts. And is this, is it a blip or a trend, right? Is he turning into that guy, or is it just happens to line up that his last two starts were really good?
Yeah, I don't know, but I do think he's worth at least looking at 8,700. I don't like the matchup. I hate picking on Oakland, but I love the ballpark. So, I mean, it's not the worst matchup in the world. He has been a lot better away, but that's because of the beginning, his first couple starts, right?
Yeah, I'm willing to chalk that up to a small sample size.
Same.
So it doesn't mean it's not going to work out that way. But when you see like a guy who's much better on the road and it's not like a ballpark issue and he hasn't been up that long, I'll just chalk it up to small sample size.
Agreed.
So I think if we dip a little bit further down here, there are other guys that maybe you're not going to love them, but they are worth mentioning. And let's actually go all the way down to the bottom to a guy that you had mentioned the other day. We had talked about Carlos Hernandez in the start against Baltimore, that for 4K, we thought he was viable. And if he got you 10 to 15, you'd be happy. Well, he fell right into that 10 to 15 pitch or point area. He threw 78 pitches, which, again, I do think that, he could maybe go 85, 90 today. So a little bit more stretched out. 6 Ks in both of his last two starts. Now, Detroit's been feisty lately, no doubt about it, but he's only 4,600.
Yeah, agreed. Detroit has been, better than feisty. Not that I'm afraid to pick on them, but it's not like Texas. I'll say that, which a lot of people associate them with. I liked Hernandez last time out. He was solid. I think he's right around there. His price still isn't, it's raised a little bit, but not enough where I don't think he's in play. You did skip over one other guy that I actually like a lot.
I was going to move from the bottom up. Who was it?
Oh, Patrick Sandoval.
Okay.
He's been good. The Twins lineup lately, Garver's on paternity leave. They traded Nelson Cruz. This guy's got high strikeout upside. Minnesota's been bad all year. I actually like him a lot.
Okay. I can see that. I was looking at him for a while this morning.
I mean, give me the case against him.
I guess for me, I still feel better about rostering Castillo in this price range, but not significantly.
I agree. I don't trust it completely. I mean, we've seen this guy get hit before, but I can't really put any – I don't know why I don't trust it. And he's been good lately. This is a good matchup. And I never use Andrew Heaney. But a couple of days ago, I had a little exposure because it was the same spot. No Nelson Cruz, Garver on paternity. All of a sudden, that's two of their better right-handed bats. I mean, Twins lineup is all of a sudden, they're clearly waving the white flag. They're going to trade Donaldson soon. Their lineup's not getting any better. I'll say that.
No, I was actually looking at Donaldson this morning with his 15 bombs and thinking, man, I wonder where he's going to end up in the next couple of days.
Where do you think he's going to end up?
I have no real good thoughts. I was just curious to see. I was looking at him closer because I feel like he's been in and out of the lineup a lot. I wanted to see a little bit more about how his season has progressed, just to get the idea of what kind of trade equity the Twins might get for him. And he's played pretty well this year, so I'm sure he will be somewhere else in the real near future.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I wonder where he could fit. I mean, a lot of teams he could fit as a bat. Yeah, the Rays getting Cruz is just a power move, I feel like.
Yes. So, again, if you're really looking for cheap guys, I don't like going after LA, but if you tell me Bellinger and Betts are out of the lineup, they're not as scary. Kyle Freeland's all right. I would probably go with the Royals guy, though.
Did Bellinger get hurt?
He's day-to-day.
Oh, okay, and Muncy's out, too.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Dodgers still find a way to play well a lot, but if you got no Muncy, no Bellinger, no Betts, I mean, it's just not as scary of a lineup.
No Seager.
Yeah, for what feels like the better part of a decade at this point.
That's their four, arguably their four best hitters.
Right? It's now it's just Justin Turner, and I love Justin Turner. He's my favorite Dodger, but, come on. We're not scared of that.
No.
I looked at Casey Mize for a second, too, but ultimately I think I still like the other cheaper guys as well.
And I will say, wow, I'm surprised that Burns and Rodon are getting so much more ownership. Man, I like Gausman. I like Gausman a lot. I like Gilbert, and I like Sandoval, like I said. Castillo, I'm always a fan of, but I just don't know if I'm going to use him on this slate.
All right, so let's shift.
What I've seen of St. Louis lately.
Makes sense. All right, let's go with offenses. In this first game, we got Tampa Bay against Cleveland. And I know you are not a big fan of JC Mejia, and he's giving you no reason to be a fan of him. You got a Tampa Bay team that's expensive, but
yeah,
you've no reason not to like Tampa today.
Yeah, their price tags might keep people off them, which is good to see. Like, I like that, especially with a couple cheaper pitchers I like. It does look like, as far as like the top stack percentages go, they have the highest top stack. They're getting love, but not even the highest amount of love. Cincy and Detroit are. So, yeah, I like the Rays a lot here. My favorite stack on the slate.
Yeah, I looked through ownership for a while before we got on here, and it looked like they're going to be popular, but not overwhelmingly popular. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
they're going to be popular, but not as popular as the guys from Cincy, Detroit. Looks like some Giants are getting love. They will get love, but not like overwhelming chalk.
Yeah, it's good. So the argument for like the Kansas City pitcher that we talked about is like, if you really like Tampa today, and they have, for me, like, if pitching money wasn't a thing and you could just stack anybody, and I was just trying to score the most points, I'd probably just stack Tampa.
Yes, same. And I have a feeling like, as far as like the stack goes, like some guys are getting a lot of love and other guys like aren't getting any love at all. Yeah, I mean, even like you clicked on Franco, like Randy Arozarena and matchup at righty is projected for 2% ownership. Like Meadows and Lowe are projected for real high, and then after that it drops off. And I mean, I like the whole stack. And if I'm stacking them, Arozarena, I'm definitely using. He looks good right now.
Yeah, he does. Yes, he does. So I'm with you. I like Tampa a lot. We'll wait out for their starting lineup, but you can bet there's going to be some Tampa exposure in this one. As far as like the Cleveland bats go, in a matchup with like McHugh and Rasmussen, I'm not overly enticed personally.
Now, I will say I recommended Jose Ramirez yesterday because he had walked a bunch the 2 days before. Monster game last night. I mean, he is now, like, he's kind of hot and cold too. He's hot right now. So as a one-off, I like it.
Yeah, it goes back to something else we talk about. Look for guys who have walked a couple times recently.
I was thinking about this last night. That is one, like, of everything like you've ever laid on me. That's like the one I'll take to the grave.
Yeah. I mean, you just start seeing the ball better. That's a lot of what baseball is when you're hitting, is seeing the ball with the ball in the strike. Like, it's a really hard game.
It makes so much sense. It's just not something I like looked at and like really, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Calling your balls and strikes in your mind when to swing and not to swing. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Because I know a lot of you guys probably haven't played a ton of baseball in your life. It is a hard game.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
All right. So we got Woodford versus Castillo. And you're right. I think since he's going to get too much love in this spot just because there's a bunch of cheap guys.
Yeah, exactly. Like, definitely give me Tampa over them. Since he sucks. I mean, they might have a good game here, but no Castellanos. I get it. Winker's in a good spot. Suarez is 2 bombs off Woodford. I'm sure he'll get love.
I actually don't think Jake Woodford's crazy.
No, if this were in St. Louis, I would think about him here, but not in Cincy.
I agree. So I'm with you. Like, I understand the Cincy guys for the cheapness, especially if you're trying to get up to like Burns, Rodon, and everything like that. But I'm not really overly enticed myself.
Agreed.
Okay. Moving next, Chicago against Milwaukee. I think for me, this is pitchers or pitchers. I don't really have much interest in any bats in this one.
Agreed.
Toronto versus New York. We got Ryu, who we kind of skipped right over, against Taijuan Walker. Taijuan Walker's last start was the one where he
kicked the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has not been good, though. Like, it's not like he was good before that error. Like, I think Toronto is in play here.
Yeah, I can get on board with Toronto almost every single day, so that's not going to change today.
I was thinking about this, like, I mentioned to you, I think St. Louis has looked good lately, and, Castillo is not impervious to getting hit. So I was thinking about them a little bit, but then this is like before we got on this, I'm thinking about them more. Like, man, I like Castillo more than Taijuan Walker, and I think Toronto's obviously better than St. Louis. So I'd rather just use Toronto. I think
it appears to be pretty low ownership today.
Yeah, for sure, because they're price tags.
Yeah, Toronto's just really, really good. We've had this conversation so many times this year. They're almost
Yeah.
always in play.
Doesn't this seem like that night? Like we've talked about this. It's like once a week. We're like we talk about this all the time. They're not going to get any love, and they're going to go off. I feel like tonight could easily be that night where they score 10 runs because they do that a lot.
I'm on board with that one. All right, we'll keep moving on down the list. Keep this brief for you guys today. Texas against Houston. I don't have much I'm interested right here. Gibson's been awful the last two times out against Detroit, but I still respect him. Valdez is too pricey for me, but I'm not really trying to pick on either pitcher. This game is just not something that I will look very closely at.
I think you'd agree that the Houston offense is probably in the best spot of anyone in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Gibson has not been good. I do think he's better than that, though. So I'm with you. Like, I'm not overly excited about Houston.
I'd rather play Toronto than Houston.
Definitely, same.
Okay.
And I like Tampa a lot anyway, so I'm with you.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Kansas City against Detroit. So Detroit's getting some love because they're going up against Hernandez, who's cheap, and they are very, very cheap. Again, you're playing cash games, Grossman, Badu. These guys make a lot of sense. I also, again, we've mentioned using Hernandez. Hope he has a good day, gets it 15 points. And what Hernandez does is he opens up the Tampa Bay stack.
Like, the thing is, it's so easy to build with, like, Burns and Rodon, stack Detroit and Cincy. Boom. Like, and you can get, like, a Meadows and a Lau, excuse me. That's just going to be the build easily, and it's easily done. In tournaments, like, I don't think that's going to win tournaments personally. Give me the KC side over the Detroit side. Mize is on a pitch count. They said that in the second half they were going to really monitor his workload.
Yep.
I like the KC side in tournaments personally.
ZACK Short's a guy just to mention who's getting some pretty good projection love today if you're looking for the cheaper shortstop. But again, I won't be stacking Detroit today.
No, me neither. Definitely not. I rarely stack Detroit, and when they're chalk, never.
All right, Sandoval against Barrios. I know you're big, obviously, on Sandoval today. We respect Barrios. This is not really a game I have much interest in.
No, I mean, I could see one-offing Ohtani after a day off. A lot has been talked about the home run derby, slumped in the second half. I could easily see him homering today.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, that's all it is. And I like Sandoval a lot, so.
All right, Pittsburgh against San Francisco. Obviously, we like Kevin Gausman. And then I think the other team that's really worth looking at is going to be San Francisco. I put together the cover for the video already, and I got Yaz on the top of it. But it was more just about the idea that
he's so cheap.
Yeah. He's not having as good of a year as he can, but he still has 16 home runs. He's only 3,800. Will Crow is, well, as you would put it, not good.
He was, I mean, Yastrzemski was on the public video yesterday and a hard recommend. So I'm all about it. 300 cheaper. I don't care that he went 0 for 5.
Yeah, so Will Crow's not great. The whole San Fran stack's in play.
100%.
LaMonte Wade, 2,800. Yeah, he's going to be very, very popular today. So if you're playing cash games, just know that this is a guy you should probably lock in right away.
That 1, 2, 3 looks real good to me. Wade, Yaz, and Posey.
Rock and roll, guys. I like the San Fran stack today plenty. I still, for the life of me, cannot get over how good they are as a baseball team. You can't look at their roster and think, oh, yeah, this is one of the best teams in baseball. No doubt about it.
Agreed. I will say, like, I like San Fran here, but I like Tampa and Toronto more.
I think for me, I'm just more likely to use San Fran guys than Detroit and Cincy. I'd rather pair the cheaper San Fran guys with Tampa Bay.
I love that. That's a 100% agree.
Yeah, like, because I don't need a first baseman with Tampa, so I can ride a chalk LaMonte Wade, and it helps me get a better pitcher.
A lot of times in this spot, San Fran would be like way overowned, but with Cincy and Detroit, they're not going to be underowned, but like they're not going to be like way overowned, in my opinion.
I'm agreeing with you. So what we mentioned, Betts and Bellinger are day to day. Like, again, I don't think Freeland's crazy, especially the more Dodgers that are out. We're obviously missing Max Muncy, as you mentioned. Seager's been out for a long time now. So, again, Chris Taylor is a good player. Not great, though. I like Justin Turner a lot, but it's not like I can't throw out a Kyler Freeland against those guys. So I get that, but I'm still not looking at a ton from this game.
I'm not looking at a ton from this game either. Although I will say, like, man, and I called out Trevor Story, I think yesterday. He homered, and Gonsolin is not good. So Story and Blackman had real good games yesterday. If I were setting enough lineups, I'll say that. I probably won't use these guys, but man, I think they're my game in tournaments because I actually think the Dodgers probably get love just because they see that name Kyle Freeland, you know?
Makes sense. And then the last game is going to be Oakland at Seattle. I
We
got
didn't
this
even
one.
bring up Bassett.
Yeah, I like Bassett. You know, we're big Bassett fans. I just don't like him enough when I got Gossman a little bit cheaper or Burns and Rodon just a little bit more expensive. Like I like there's slates where Bassett would be my guy right here, just not this one.
Agreed.
So, but I don't have any interest in bats here.
No, same. I mean, I like Gilbert. So Gilbert, I think if I were making one lineup right now, I'd go Gilbert and Sandoval.
I like it.
Only because I want those expensive Tampa bats. Not saying that like I wouldn't want to get to like Rodon or Burns and Gaussman. So because I like Gaussman a lot too. It's just hard to use expensive pitching. These guys are expensive.
True story. Which is why, again, like the kid from Kansas City could be paired with a bigger guy.
Sure.
You could go down, like you said, to Sandoval and Castillo. There's different ways to do it. Might be a day where I could see you kind of sticking a little bit more firm with your offenses and then kind of mixing your pitchers in there a little bit.
I definitely do like Tampa and Toronto. And I like my favorite three pitchers, Gaussman, Sandoval, and Gilbert.
Yeah, my biggest point against Carlos Rodon, just to reiterate that, is the Brewers are an interesting team in the sense that their record against good pitching and good baseball teams is really good. And then they just get swept in a mini 2-game series against Kansas City. So they're interesting, like they can get absolutely demolished by mediocre pitching some days when they shouldn't be, but then play their best against a guy who's really, really good. So if I'm trying to pick for my top guys, it's one of the things I was telling myself this morning.
Yeah, I'm not going to use Rodon here. I hate guys coming off these, like, although he did only throw 98 pitches, but what a start for him against Houston.
Yeah, he was awesome.
I'm not using Rodon here. I probably won't use Burns either, though. So, again, I like the idea of not like necessarily punting a pitcher, but there's a couple mid-tier arms. And I like Gaussman. Like, I think if I were picking who would like if we were doing a drafters draft, Gaussman would be my number one. Not even a question.
I like Gaussman's floor, but I think Rodon's ceiling is a little bit higher today, just because Milwaukee is very capable of striking out 12 times.
Definitely. I agree. The ceiling is definitely higher. I just don't think we see it today. So if I were like multi-entering, I would definitely have some Rodon. But
and that's a great point. You can think the ceiling's higher, but if you don't think he gets the ceiling, don't play him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, if I were making enough lineups where I was like using an optimizer, I wouldn't like take him out. But I'm setting my lineups by hand, and I like a couple guys a little more.
Makes a lot of sense, guys. That's all we got for y'all today. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We kept it tight for a Saturday, and good luck. Go make yourself some money today.
Thanks, guys.